All right, everybody, this is another Blueline tutorial. This Blueline tutorial is to show you how to make RBOX windows for your RBOX buildings. I have here on the internet using Firefox. I searched very simple search, window textures. And this one is one I used in my most recent orb. And so therefore what you do, you see it's nice and square. It's 600 by 600. You can do that. Let me go back. I'm going to close this. I'm going to simply click on this image. Here it is. It is 600 by 600. See down here? Perfect. It's a square. And then I'm going to right click and I'm going to save image as. Okay? I would change that just for organization. You see I've done this many times before, and it knows that it's going to send to my textures subfolder in my external drive called Blue Ladder Photo Files. Anyway, I've already done this before. I'm not going to do it again. So you right click, you save as. I would suggest you change the title, but that's up to you. You'll see it here. There it is. It's called FS Wind 1, and you see I've reduced its size to 64 by 64. I suggest that you keep your numbers around there, 64 by 64. Maybe it's a little more horizontal. Maybe it's a more vertical, but in the ballpark of 64 by 64 would be great. You'll see in my orb that these are other ones, the glass blocks, this other window. These are textures I've downloaded and resized recently. Okay, so once you download it, I'm not going to show you, but I expect that you have the skill to resize whatever image it is. 600 by 600 is way too big. So I reduced it, kept its squareness, and made it 64 by 64. Good. Now let's go to the orb. These windows were taken from the internet, as you saw, and placed here on this brick bottom floor or first floor RBOX. As you'll see here and here, that they protrude or jut out of the RBOX. Great. Good. Let me show you the editor. Alt E to open the editor. And we'll pop up here. Good. This is the RBOX that we were just looking at. Let me arrow over to domains. Hit the Z key to zoom in. And I'm going to move the grid down to 32 so I can select this. All right. There's an error immediately. You'll see here, cement 19 is the ceiling texture and floor texture. In a perfect world, that would also be the same brick that is on the walls of this first floor RBOX. Since no one's ever going to see it, it's a minor error. But just for future reference, this should also be the same image as, for instance, brick. See brick, FS brick 01, FS brick 01. Yeah, good. That's all correct. But the top and the bottom of the RBOX, the ceiling and the floor are cement. Okay, here's the window in question. It's downloaded from the internet, as you've already seen. And this is FS Wind 1. Let me show it to you in the, there it is, FS Wind 1. Great. Good. I'll come back to this in a moment. I'm going to click OK and return. What's important here is the ID name, bwind1, so you can do adjustments like change the color from white to peach or brownish orange. I don't know how you define that color. All right, so this is important. You'll see that the brick also is named, just as it is here. Good. So when I adjust brick 01 in the F6 editor, I'm adjusting everything uniformly. Good. Back to the window. All right. I'm using the arrow keys to move quickly through the walls. And what I'm going to demonstrate here, should I pull it out? You know what? I'm going to pull it out. So here it is. I'm going to extract it and put it out here so you can see it. We've removed the window. It's now out in the street. And you'll notice that the floor height is set at 32. The ceiling height is set at 96. Some quick math will show you that this is 64 on top of 32 gives us 96. Good. Why is that important? Well, the height is adjusted so that it's not sitting on the floor or the street down here or up in the top of the first floor. It's placed in the middle. Good. All right, another thing that's important, now I'm going to go over to walls, and you'll see when I click in here, the width and the height is 64. Apologies. So this fits snugly, one might even say perfectly, into the RBOX, which is 64 high and 64 wide. The height is 64 and the width is 64, so it slots in perfectly without having to adjust things. Now I want to show you how and why to adjust things. So we're going to change the image to FS Wind 2 here, this window. And you'll notice that the width is 128 and the height is 160. That's not a square, that's a rectangle. Let's work with it. So I'm going to use this as an example. Good. And I'm going to change the ID name to bwind 7 for fun. I don't think there's a bwind 7 in the anywhere in this orb, so that should be okay. Let's move it back into place, but I'm going to use the grid so I can place it exactly. Good. You'll see there's a marker, a dot, or spot, whatever you call these, so we can be sure that it's equal distance here and here, so it looks uniform. Okay, good. I'm going to save this. Alt-S to save, Alt-L to load, and Alt-E to close the editor. I got to walk over there again. No big deal. See the orb as we pass by. You see it in the distance. We're coming up on it, and you'll see it doesn't fit. Doesn't fit. Okay, so let's go into the F6 editor. That is Alt and F6 at the same time. It's a wall. I'm going to open up wall in all caps, BWIND 7. Great. So I'm going to change the scale, turn it on by clicking and lifting up with your movement with a movement of the mouse. And I'm going to scale. Ooh, isn't that nice? So there, I'm not well positioned. We'll change that in a moment. We should be directly in front, but you get the idea. So by moving the Y, which is sorry, vertical up and down, and the X, which is horizontal or right or left, you can do all sorts of moves, like make it a double window or just an ordinary single window. Great. Again, scale. Z doesn't matter in this instance. This is not 3D, it's 2D. So Y, vertical up and down, and X, horizontal right and left. We're going to click the now to save it. We're going to close F6 by hitting Alt F6. Things go away. We'll get in front now. We did pretty good, even though we weren't looking directly spot on. Let's make a few light adjustments now that we're looking directly at it. I clicked Alt F6 together to reopen this particular window for editing. We just call it the F6 editor. Doesn't have a particularly interesting name. And we can fuss here. If you're a fusser, you may fuss. I guess if we're doing mathematics, this should really be, to be perfect, would be 2.5. My math ratios are are active. Oh, almost had it. It's very sensitive. There we go. Supposedly now it's perfect mathematically. So I'm going to click save again. Save now. There you go. Alt F6 to close. And there you are. Good. Hope this is useful. Thank you for watching Blueline tutorials. Adios.